For years, military analysts have been warning about one major shift in global power: the rapid rise of China and its growing challenge to the United States at sea. At first glance, the numbers seem alarming. China now has more ships than the US Navy, and its massive industrial base is producing new warships at a pace the US simply can't match. So the question becomes obvious: is China about to dominate the oceans? But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Because while China may be catching up on the surface, there is one domain where the balance of power is not even close: the deep ocean, submarines. And in this hidden battlefield beneath the waves, the United States still holds a massive, almost untouchable advantage. In fact, despite China's rapid expansion, many experts believe that when it comes to undersea warfare, China remains years, if not decades, behind. So what makes US submarines so powerful? Why are they still considered the most dangerous and dominant force underwater? And if a conflict ever breaks out between these two superpowers, could China actually stand a chance beneath the surface? In this video, we break it all down. From numbers and firepower, to stealth, technology, and real-world combat advantage. Because what's happening underwater might decide the future of global power. To truly understand the balance of power beneath the ocean, we need to look beyond headlines and focus on the actual numbers. Because at first glance, the naval competition between China and the United States appears closer than ever before. China has rapidly expanded its navy over the past decade. In fact, it now has more total ships in its fleet than the United States. And when it comes to submarine numbers, China is not far behind either. As of early 2026, the United States operates approximately 66 submarines. What makes this number extremely important is not just the quantity, but the quality. Because every single US submarine is nuclear-powered. This gives the United States a massive operational advantage. On the other hand, China operates a fleet of around 58 submarines. But only about 12 of these are nuclear-powered. The rest are conventional diesel-electric submarines. And this difference changes everything. Nuclear submarines can remain underwater for months without surfacing. They can travel across entire oceans, maintain high speeds, and operate far from home bases without losing effectiveness. This makes them ideal for global power projection. In contrast, diesel-electric submarines are much more limited. They need to surface regularly or use snorkels, which increases their chances of detection. Their range is shorter, and they are generally more effective in coastal or regional environments. So while China's numbers may look competitive, the United States still holds a decisive advantage in terms of capability and reach. But there is another factor that cannot be ignored: production. Between 2021 and 2025, China actually surpassed the United States in the production of nuclear-powered submarines. This marks a major shift in momentum. It shows that China is not only catching up, but actively investing in closing the gap. However, numbers and production rates alone do not determine dominance. Because building submarines is only part of the equation. Operating them effectively, maintaining them, and integrating them into a global strategy, that requires decades of experience. And this is where the gap between China and the United States becomes far more visible. Now let's move to the most critical factor in undersea dominance: nuclear power and destructive capability. Because submarines are not just stealth platforms. They are some of the most powerful weapons ever created. Especially when we talk about nuclear-armed submarines. The United States currently operates 14 ballistic missile submarines, also known as SSBNs. These are not ordinary submarines. They are designed for one purpose: nuclear deterrence. Each of these submarines can carry up to 20 Trident II D5 missiles. And each missile can carry multiple nuclear warheads. That means a single submarine can strike multiple targets across continents. Now imagine several of them deployed across the world's oceans at the same time. This creates something known as a second strike capability. Even if a country is attacked, these submarines can respond with devastating force. And that makes them nearly impossible to neutralize. On the other side, China currently operates around 6 SSBNs. These submarines are capable of launching submarine-based nuclear missiles. But their capacity is significantly lower. Each Chinese SSBN can carry fewer missiles and fewer warheads per missile. This creates a massive gap in total firepower. In fact, estimates suggest that China's submarine-based nuclear force carries between 200 to 350 warheads, while the United States can deploy well over 1,000 nuclear warheads from submarines alone. That's a difference of 3 to 4 times. But the difference is not just in numbers. It's also about readiness. U.S. submarines operate on a continuous deployment system. At any given time, multiple submarines are already at sea, fully armed and ready. This ensures constant global coverage. China, on the other hand, has far fewer submarines available at any one time. Due to maintenance cycles and operational limits, only a small number are actively deployed. Which means, if those few are tracked or neutralized, their entire deterrence capability could be compromised. And that is a serious vulnerability. Because in modern warfare, survivability is everything. And when it comes to nuclear submarines, the United States doesn't just lead. It dominates in submarine warfare. There is one rule that matters more than anything else. If you can be detected, you can be destroyed. And if you remain invisible, you control the battlefield. This is where the United States holds one of its biggest advantages over China. Because modern American submarines are not just powerful. They are incredibly quiet. Take the Virginia-class submarines, for example. These submarines use advanced pump-jet propulsion systems, along with special anechoic coatings that absorb sound waves. The result? Noise levels so low. They blend into the natural background sound of the ocean. In simple terms, they become almost invisible to enemy sonar. But stealth alone is not enough. Detection is just as important. And this is where the technology gap becomes even more clear. U.S. submarines are equipped with highly advanced sonar systems, capable of detecting even the faintest acoustic signals. They can distinguish between natural ocean noise and the mechanical signature of another submarine, even at long distances. This gives them a critical advantage. They can detect enemy submarines long before being detected themselves. On the other hand, China has made significant progress. Its newer submarines are quieter than older models, and its sonar systems are improving. But they still lag behind. Chinese submarines are generally louder and easier to track compared to their US counterparts. Which means in a real underwater encounter,